And I think we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashley Mendoza, Director of Live Events for Homeopathy World Community. Welcome to today's show, Homeopathy Across the Airwaves. I'm thrilled to introduce to you today our special guest, Atiq Ahmed Bhatti. He is a fourth-generation homeopath and a seasoned radio host on UK Health Radio, where he enlightens audiences with his expertise on alternative medicine and natural healing. Hello, Atiq. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much. It's so very kind of you to ask me to come on board. I'm thrilled, and I hope I can be of some service.
It's great having you, and I can't wait to learn a lot from you today. Let's start with the first question. Could you share with our listeners, our audience today, a bit about your journey into the world of homeopathy and how your family's legacy influenced your career path?
What a wonderful opening question, but wow, that's so deep. So I come from a multi-generational family of homeopaths and herbalists, both vertically, upwards, and across horizontally as well. So my father was a homeopathic doctor in India and Pakistan and East Africa. And generally, as we very well know, when you qualify, you are a doctor of homeopathy, and that differs around the world. So, but he was a homeopath, and then my uncle, and then one of my other uncles as well. And upwards was my grandfather and his brother, and then it went up to my great grandfather and etc. And my fifth great grandfather was a herbalist, and I did some work with my uncle, who used to live in East Africa. Sadly, he's passed away, but he was a professor of homeopathy, and we traced back many decades of herbalists, one after the other. So, for me, that was fascinating, and I was just like, wow. But it's interesting because growing up with homeopathy, with medicines left, right, and center, by seeing patients, come into the house and come leave the house, or wherever it may be. It wasn't That wasn't the reason I went into homeopathy. I actually started my first job was to do with electronic engineering and IT, which I have to say in
Wow.
hindsight now is so brilliant. They say God has a plan, honestly speaking, because if I didn't have those skills, I wouldn't be able to do some of the things that I do today, for example, and how I understand homeopathy from a frequency perspective, and the vibration and so forth. So electronics, was very important there. But at that time, of course, I wasn't aware. And it only came later on, a few years later, after I was in the field of IT. It Something happened. I'm not sure exactly what happened, to be honest with you, but it was like a calling. And I know that in my life, certain things have happened and they continue to do so, where it just seems to happen at the right time. And as soon as that happens, you think, now, certainly at this age, I think, okay, this is something I'm supposed to be doing right now. And so from there, what happened was there was a spark about homeopathy and this curiosity, which I had never experienced before, as in, even though I knew what it was, but the questions still popped into my head. What is it? And I'll never forget that I was in my father's room, and he had a wooden rack of remedies. And I picked up a remedy, and the remedy was China. And it was interesting because now, just recently, I was thinking that it's quite interesting that, personally speaking, just for me, how humbling that was, because China was obviously something that Dr. Hahnemann also picked up on, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that started it. China literally was the remedy that started it all off, as in, I turboed from there, and I enrolled and I studied, did homeopathy, I did physiology and biology and anatomy, and there were some other things I can't remember. It's a while back now, but there were a few things, modules across there as well. So that was my actually that was my sort of journey into it, and then I started working. I started working from home initially, and that was tough. Financially, it was tough as well. Getting patients was tough. But then I became busier and busier and was able to see and serve and help more patients. And then I had a purpose-built clinic, and that's where I am now as well, sitting here. I'm very happy, and it's 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 absolutely fantastic. I People laugh sometimes and they say to me, "Oh, homeopathy is in your blood," but I can truly say it is. Not because of the multi-generation aspect, but I just live and breathe and talk it, and I can never get bored of it. Absolutely never. I love it.
I'm so happy you found your purpose. How old were you around the time where you discovered?
I think I was about 25,
Okay.
24, 25. Yeah, because I'd finished uni and I started to work, and then that spark happened, and then I enrolled. Actually, no, that was, yeah, something. I think it was 20, a bit earlier than that because I graduated then a few years after. Yeah.
I imagine your father had lots of books on homeopathy, so you had a blast just going through everything, learning about everything.
It was brilliant, Ashley. I will show you something. I'm just going to, 1 second. So I've just got up to the library, which you can see on the right, but just on the top shelf are some of my father's books.
Oh,
And this one is, and he's signed it as well. I don't know if it's the other way around. I'm not sure, but this one is, 1 second. I'll just go through this. This is happening live, right? So these are therapeutic hints. And I'm not sure which year this is, 1922, I think it is. And you can see how used it is because of the pages. So
yeah.
they're quite yellow, and you can see actually that the book is quite used. But I've got a few of these books, and it's just interesting, this history, and
What
I
a
think
treasure. What a
mm,
treasure. And what book is that, if you don't mind?
this is oh yes, it's Therapeutic Hints by Dr. Gupta, second edition. And it's that old, I tell you, you'll laugh at this, that the price it says is rupees 5. 5 rupees, I think, is what, 10 pence? 5 pence? 1 cent? Something like that. Because this is back in the
Oh, the
1920s.
conversion.
This is very much in the 1920s.
That's amazing. I imagine you hold it dear to your heart.
I do. There's a few more I've got. But yeah, I have actually shared them on my Instagram reels as reels, just in memory. We were talking about something similar before the recording, before the live rather. So in memory of my father. So I've taken pictures and videos of the books with some, and just put them out there so people know there's a history.
How beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Um, okay, on to our next question. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Um, are there any mentors or influential figures in your life who guided your path in homeopathy or broadcasting?
My father and my uncle. My father, of course, homeopathy, and my uncle, who was the founder of the Kenya Institute of Alternative Medicine. And I spent a lot of time with him in East Africa, shadowing him, learning the family way of prescribing, I suppose. There's certain way that we use as well as a family that's come down, which we know works and continues to work today as far as homeopathy is concerned. Protocols and methodologies, the thought process. He gave me everything. He taught me. He never tired. We spoke on the phone every day, and so I would say that my father and my respected uncle, both of whom have sadly passed away, were the mentors as far as homeopathy, and they gave everything. There was nothing held back as such. I was saturated with information. Um, and only now, Ashley, it's really interesting because I was just having this conversation literally last week, honestly, God's truth. that I was having this conversation with family. I said, I'm amazed that my uncle, and this was the example here, that my uncle said something about this remedy all those years ago. And I can see after so many years that how deep his thought process was, that those things are coming to light about a certain remedy, And this was to do with detoxification, pure cleanse, for the whole body instantly. And yeah, so that's knowledge, right? He had knowledge. I mean, and that was so good. But as far as broadcasting, actually, look, I love movies, I love radio. Um, as you can probably tell from my Instagram, right? Because I'm just all the 80s stuff seems to be coming to the front, right, with the reels in the background.
Yeah, I see.
So I did a few TV programs for homeopathy. I did those, and I just love broadcasting. And I do interviews as well, and I do a lot of voluntary work. So I get involved very much with interviews. When it comes to fundraising or community cohesion projects and events and stuff. So that's where the broadcasting side came in, and as a result, that led to radio stations in the UK calling me up for interviews, lives, and so forth. So yeah, that's just it started as a hobby, but it's obviously become part of my work, isn't it now?
And how did you get involved with UK Health Radio?
That's an interesting story. So UK Health Radio contacted me about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, actually, just as they had started. And I came on board as a homeopath, and I started something called the Homeopathy for Life show. But then it didn't seem right at that time for me, and I gracefully, stepped back. And then, I was saying to you, some things happen at the right time.
Mhm.
And now, again, in hindsight, when I came back, that was the right time for me. And I absolutely believe that because I learned everything that I was learning or have learned and continue to, of course, and all the other things to do with broadcasting and has really helped me now because now I'm very comfortable with doing the podcast. I'm very comfortable with doing Insta Lives and all the social media that goes with it and everything else that's involved. But over and above that, I would say the timing was right. I was guided. It was not anything to do with me. And I say to you, I woke up and I said to the family, I'm going to contact UK Health Radio again. And they said, why? What happened? I said, I don't know what's happened, but I've got this inner urge that I have to do it. I have to make contact again. And I made contact. And well, the rest is history, isn't
How wonderful. And
it?
what a blessing that you had such wonderful men in your life as well, your father and your uncle.
And
Um,
and I have to say my mother,
your
my
mother.
respected mother, who very much nurtured me, made sure that she instilled the best that she could in me. I was a bit of a naughty child, a rebel, troublemaker, but
Mm,
she saw me through, and she showed me the love and gave me, should I say, not showed me, she gave me so much love and always sort of was there in the background so I could, what's the word, have a shoulder to share my worries and anxieties with. And it's different from a father and a mother. It always is. The
mhm.
bond between a mother is extremely unique and it always will remain to be. And yeah, so yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And is your mother still alive?
Sadly, she passed away some time back now. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But what beautiful memories and what beautiful humans to have in your life.
They
He,
make such a difference. Parents make
yeah,
such a difference, and we don't realize sometimes. I know we might go off tangent here, but um, I'd have to remember I'm not in a podcast, so don't go too much off tangent, right? But it's so important to value your parents because they
Mhm.
do so much, and you don't appreciate it. In fact, until you are a parent yourself, only
Exactly.
then you realize, you know.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting journey, isn't it? Life
It is. It is very short.
very
Very
short,
short, but
very
very
short.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so how has being a radio host on UK Health Radio and actually a podcaster for your own Instagram as well. Influence your approach to discussing health and wellness topics, including homeopathy with your own audience?
Well, I think the UK Health Radio show and the podcast, it's both are done for UK Health Radio, and then I have my own series on Instagram, which is called Homeopathic Voices. That's also under the umbrella as well of UK Health Radio, but that is very much, um, I mean, it's really brilliant because what it's done is given an opportunity to bring homeopaths together on radio. So, I always say the podcast and the Instagram are the voice of homeopathy. And it's truly the voice. So, actually, when you're on the podcast, it will be your voice as a homeopath. So, you are the voice of homeopathy. And I've had the good fortune to speak to all the obviously the well-known homeopaths we all know. But my objective has always been to um, involve everybody. So it's the researchers, the doctors, the students, the graduates, which I think is so important, and this show has been uh, has given me the opportunity to give back and to actually to make homeopathy hip because we need the next generation of youngsters to say, do you know what, I want to do this. We're all getting on a bit, aren't we? Well, I am anyway. Not certainly not you, but I am. So, we need young blood, right? We need fresh ideas. We need progress. And homeopathy is a progressive art. That's why it's so beautiful. It doesn't just say stop. If it had said stop, then we wouldn't have the greats that we do. There's so many. We all know who they are, and all these different ideas that are coming to light, and different ways that perhaps we can use in our own practice as well. So, as far as how has it influenced my approach to wellness, it's interesting because it's made it easier to talk about health and wellness and well-being to not just the audience. There's 49,000 listeners to the podcast, by the way, around the world. And it's just made it so easier. But I've also found with the podcast that a lot of people who are just home prescribers or just interested to know a bit about homeopathy are coming on board, and they're learning so much. And I think that's just brilliant. I couldn't be happier. I don't know if that answered your question actually,
It
but
it did, and you're very busy. You have a lot on your hands, and
oof.
I'm curious, as both a respected homeopath, of course, and a seasoned radio host, you wear many hats. How do you balance your time between your clinical practice as a homeopath and your responsibilities as a radio host? It's a lot to juggle.
Okay, so let me break this down. I've got my clinic, which is full time. I've got my podcast, which is pretty much not full time, but it's there. It's a large chunk of the week. The Insta Lives, a large chunk, family time. And also, I do a lot of voluntary work as well. I'm very blessed to be able to do that. So, homeless feeding, fundraising for charity, community initiatives, and so much more. So, it's a really good question. Actually, I don't know how I do it. I honestly don't. Somehow I manage. I think once you start something, you just get used to it. So,
Mm.
um, I'll see patients. I have consultations face to face, of course, internationally, like all of us do. There's a hybrid model, which is amazing in homeopathy. I think it's brilliant. We'll talk about that hopefully. But so in between, sometimes, I create the reels, and everything that I do myself. It's just me.
Okay.
So I don't have anyone editing my podcast. I don't have anyone creating my Instagram reels, the videos. I do everything from scratch because I don't know if I'm a perfectionist, but I just like to do things myself because I feel it's more fulfilling. And there's more
Yeah.
love goes into it because I know how it should be and I know what I want as an output. For example, if there's a podcast, I know what I want from there. I know where I need to chop bits of me talking, waffling on, and give precedence to the guest. And the same with the reels that I do. Each one has an objective. So I prepare those and I look at different options and I see, what will be educational and informative, to whoever ends up having a look at videos online.
Yeah, and you post frequently.
I
Um,
do, I do. I was just saying this morning to somebody, I said, I think I need to slow down.
no,
I
no,
don't know
I
if people can keep
think
up.
it's a lot, but you do great. And at the end of the show, we will give all your information as well because I would
Thank
love
you.
everyone to go and check you out.
Thank you.
Because you do amazing. Your graphics, your reels, your podcast, everything. Very, very, very brilliant. Um, can you share any memorable moments or experiences from hosting either your radio shows or your podcast, um, that are related to homeopathy? Any good memories there?
I think the fact that I've had so many well-known homeopaths on, like Dr. Sankaran, Von Janssen, Dr. Jan Scholten, the Joshis who are coming up. It's in the podcast is in the can. It just needs to be edited, and so many others as well. And the fact that I've been able to have students and researchers on, that is memorable for me because it's pretty. What I'm trying to do is make it all as comprehensive as I possibly can. So even the home prescribers, even those who are just interested in homeopathy, the show is not just to have a select amount. It's everybody. You're welcome. Please come on board. Talk about homeopathy in your country. Talk about your background, your journey. Um, I think memorable recently though was Dr. Rajan Sankaran singing me a raga. That was nice on the
Oh, wow.
podcast. Somebody commented that, "Oh, you got Dr. Rajan to sing for you," and that was quite funny.
I'm gonna need the link to that.
I will. I'll send you the videos. I've got the videos. It's sent them to
Awesome.
me.
I need to hear that. That's
Um,
amazing.
it was it, and it actually is very, very soothing. You have to listen to it, and it's very. I never thought I'd have that vibration that you actually feel through that raga. Very interesting. Um,
Wow.
as far as I've got two funny stories actually, and on the podcast generally. So, when we're on the podcast, I'll be talking to you, you'll be answering back, and somebody once said to me during a conversation, it was a very deep conversation, and they said the word Arctic, and they said Arctic, and I thought, in the back because I had my headphones on and the mic, and I thought that this was here, and I thought, okay, I don't know where this is heading because I have to, with the podcast, you got to think on your feet because of what somebody might say, something that you have to remember to comment on or say something about, to have a nice conversation. And I stopped and I thought, okay, let's see. And they stopped talking and I thought, okay. And they said Arctic. I said, yeah, carry on, I'll edit it after. And they said, no, you, Arctic. I said, no, that's not my name. My name is Atik. You know? But it was quite funny because I've been called different names, Atik, Antique, right? Hey, it's
Like,
all
what is
fun.
Autic? What is Autic? Were you like trying to
But
figure out what it was?
yeah, Arctic as in the place,
Autic.
and because I was
Oh,
wondering, I was thinking during this conversation, Arctic, where is this heading,
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and then recently Jeff Johnson was on, and you have these funny memories, and he said in his bio he loves his family very much. Now I had to phrase it a certain way, but when I actually came to saying it, I said, Jeff, you say, oh, so you say you love your family, and I stopped, and it was like a question mark, and I thought, no, that's wrong. That's like saying it's something really special that you actually love them. And he started laughing, and it was an outtake. I shared the blooper actually, and that was one of the first ones I shared because we were quite in hysterics after that. I
Did he
found
feel
that
like you
quite
were
funny.
questioning him, questioning his love for his
Yeah,
family?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just came out wrong. Sometimes you say the wrong word, and I stopped him, and I said, "Sorry, Jeff, I didn't. That's not what I meant. I know you love your family. I'm not asking you whether you do."
That's funny. Um, I'm pretty sure you have like a long list of other funny moments that you had on either your podcast or your lives. Um, anything that has touched your heart.
As far as the homeopathy or the podcast,
Hmm.
that's a very nice question. They're all wonderful questions. I think, to be honest, Ashley, the stories, the real stories, they always touch me. The stories not just of healing, but the guests who have come on. When they talk about their journey to homeopathy, what inspired them, what was that moment? And sometimes it's a moment from tragedy or trauma, Sometimes it's just a calling, sometimes it's being in a library and seeing an advertisement or a little post-it note in a shop window that says homeopathy can help.
Mm.
Those stories are those really inspire me, because and I find people love stories like that, because if they're real, they're not just made up, they're real stories. You can touch them, they're tangible, aren't they?
Yeah, people tend to love raw and genuine stories
Yeah,
um, that they share, about their life, about their journeys.
yeah.
Um, what impact do you have hope to make through your work as a homeopath and a radio host?
Well, as a homeopath, I want to heal the world, but hey, I'm happy with just the patients that come to me. I want to help through homeopathy. I believe homeopathy, I don't believe, I know homeopathy is a service to humanity. It's under the umbrella of serving humanity, serving others. And it's an absolute honor for me. I'm extremely humbled that I have this opportunity. God has blessed me with this opportunity to help others through homeopathy. And I absolutely love that. Um, as far as the impact it has is, every day I learn, and I learn so much, and I make so, you make so many friends, and everyone is so wonderful. People are suffering, and there's so much trauma in their lives, and to be able to be in a situation, even just to actually just to listen, or just to say, here, take my hand, virtually take my hand, or here's my shoulder, lean on that and tell me your worries, and you can see the transformation in patients. And the same I would say for the radio show and the podcast and the Insta Lives. It's just connecting with people, being able to talk about the beautiful benefits of homeopathy and what it can do. It's not just life changing. In many, many instances, it's life saving, but it just transforms an individual. You don't have to be a homeopath. If you use homeopathy, it removes so much fear and anxiety when there is sickness in the family or with yourself because you know automatically what to do. There's no panic. There's no worry and fret. There's no frantically picking up the phone and trying to get a hold of somebody. You just think, oh, it's just a fever, and this is the body trying to say this has happened and that's happened. Belladonna, ferrum phos. Hang on, let me have a think about this. Is it that? Is it this? You give it and you see the results, and it's gone. It washes away. So next time somebody gets sick again, it's you don't have that worry. It's gone down by 50%, that fear. You think, oh, it's just a headache. Don't worry. Here's some gelsemium or whatever it is, as an example. And I love that. I love that about, being able to promote that aspect of homeopathy to people.
I love what you mentioned about virtually holding someone's hand. Um, a lot of people underestimate the value
I
of
can't hear you.
consultation.
Sorry. I couldn't hear you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I was just mentioning that I love what you said about virtually holding someone's hand and how a lot of people underestimate the value um, of having just someone listen to you. Consultations, especially initial consultations, sometimes go up to 2, 3 hours. And most of the time, it's just the client talking.
yeah.
And that is healing within itself.
It absolutely is. And it's so nice to see that change in a client once they've got it off their chest,
Mm.
And all we have to do, honestly speaking, is just to listen. That's all, no judgment, no this, no that, no pressing questions. Just let them talk. They'll tell you the remedy by the end, you'll know it. Or remedies, depending on how you prescribe. But you'll know the treatment protocol, let's say.
Exactly. So I'm glad you brought that up. As someone deeply entrenched in the world of holistic health, what advice would you give to our audience who are curious about exploring homeopathy or incorporating holistic practices into their lives for the first time?
There's so many things about this planet that we are not aware of. Science is far behind, even though it's absolutely tremendous what has been achieved technologically, scientifically, medically. There's so many things that we're not aware of. So when it comes to homeopathy, when it comes to alternative, as they say, or complementary, or even integrative medicine, never shun anything. Be the best that you can and have an open mind. Try to learn the best that you can. Learn what homeopathy is and experience it, because you will then see that the body, the mind, body, and soul, this human body of ours, is far more complex than we can ever imagine. And it resonates and it has frequencies, multiple frequencies. And homeopathy is that system which matches the frequency so your body resonates with a remedy, be it a mineral, animal, or plant, whatever it is. And then you find health. So learn homeopathy, be open to other complementary therapies as well. It's life changing. Never say never, never say no. Learn, understand, and experience, and then make a judgment call. It's just like the old saying that somebody said, that someone else has said such and such. It's just gossip. You have to experience certain things, or you have to go back to that first person and say, "Did you say that?" And they said, "Well, no, I didn't." Chinese whispers comes to mind here. So always try to be open-minded, and then you can make the best decision. And from everyone I've spoken to around the world, once they've experienced homeopathy, it's very different. Their outlook is very different afterwards because they've experienced healing. And yeah, so that's sort of my advice. If I don't know if it's any good, but hey, there you go.
No, it was great. And it made me think, is there anything that you wish someone would have told 25-year-old Atik at the beginning of his career?
Yeah, don't delay. Enroll today. Yeah, that's what I would have. I would if I was I wish I was a homeopath at 18, you know, rather than a bit later in my 20s, you know.
It
It's
sounds like an awesome
absolutely,
motto for like a homeopathy school. If you ever open one up, don't delay.
yeah, enroll
Do
today.
it today.
I
Yeah.
love it. I think it's just brilliant. I learn so every day I learn something. I make friends. I mean, look at you. You're amazing, amazing homeopath. And look at how that friendship has formed. And now we can talk all things homeopathy with what's coming up as well, which I'm sure you're going to share. And it's like that with so many people. And I love it, and then to be able to help patients, to serve humanity, or help patients through homeopathy as a service to humanity as one part of that. It's just, I mean, life can't get better than that. Come on. I mean, how? How can it? It's brilliant. It's
It
not
is.
about how much money you have. It's never been about that. It never will be. Here today, gone tomorrow, right? As long as you're able to put food on the table and you're relatively comfortable and the bills are paid, it's fine. And sometimes you do struggle, but that's fine, because when you help somebody, that help always goes around, and you'll never be at a loss for someone to help you. So I love it. It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I love when you bring up serving humanity. I never knew how to put that into words, but I feel that's what homeopaths actually do.
Mm.
We're not here getting, hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
We're we're empaths. I think most of homeopaths are empaths. We were
absolutely.
having a conversation before the live. It's hard because, it you sometimes get too riled up in a case, and you want so bad to give like the perfect remedy, but like you said, sometimes all they need is like a hand, like a virtual hand to hold.
Yeah. I think
Hmm.
when I when I do lectures to students, I always say this. I say your heart must be clean when you're helping a patient. Try to be as clean as you can, and the intention has to be right. And you can then do the best that you can. We can only do the best that we can, and sometimes we will fail. Of course, it's just the way life is. But in the majority of times, it will always be successful. And I think that's the best we can be, right? We can be, and homeopathy actually brings out the best in us, because what are we doing all day long? We're listening to people's health complaints and trying to help them. And, virtually the shoulder and the hand, right? And we're
Hmm.
saying, I will help you. When somebody says no, it can be very damaging. But when someone says, oh, you're in trouble, I'll help you, or I'll even try to help you, it's a totally different vibration energy. No hits very much the mind. When you say, I'll help you, where does it go? It actually doesn't hit the brain. If I say it right now, you'll feel it here. I'll help you. You don't feel it here. But when I say no, it's not in the heart, you feel it here. So it's strange, isn't it?
Hmm.
Words can break, words can make.
Beautifully said. I wholeheartedly agree. Is there anything you hope listeners take away from today's discussion? And how do you envision continuing to educate and inspire others through your work as a homeopath and radio host? I know that was a two-part question, but
I absolutely love what I do, like I've said. So I will say, as long as God wills, I will carry on relentlessly, tirelessly to serve humanity through homeopathy. Um, and I will always do the best that I possibly can as an individual, as a human. And as far as the show is concerned, the podcast and anything else that I'm doing to promote homeopathy, I will continue to do the best that I possibly can to bring everyone together and have this huge voice around the world. Presently, um, 5 to 600 million people use homeopathy around the world, which is about, I think it's about 7% of the world population, which is a huge amount, by the way. But I look forward to the day, I hope in my lifetime, that we can say 25% of people on the planet use homeopathy. And I hope one day, very soon that happens for certainly for everyday health complaints, which are the minor ones as well, acutes, complex acutes.
looking ahead, what is something that excites you the most about the future of homeopathy and your role within it?
Another brilliant question. You really asked the best questions, You've put me on a backing now. What am I going to ask you in the podcast? How am I going to top these questions? Um, what excites me is the sheer versatility and applicability of homeopathy. Homeopathy is for humans, homeopathy is for animals, homeopathy is for plants, it's for soil, it's used in farming and agriculture. It's absolutely incredible. It's so versatile. It's even being used in for the climate crisis. Um, it's just fascinating. There's so much that can be done safely, without toxicity, without unnecessary. Let me rephrase unnecessary toxicity. Um, and it's just so gentle and it's so simple and I just really that excites me in itself to see this trajectory that homeopathy is on, and I can't wait to see where that leads us over the next few years. It's just going to be amazing, and that's what excites me. That's really, really exciting.
I'd like to bring up for a little bit that Atik and I are helping out with the film introducing homeopathy, which is what I'm super excited about. And we're going to be talking more about it during so this is a three-part special. We're going to be talking more about the movie and, other stuff during his podcast where I'm going to join and his live. So really excited about that. Did you want to share anything regarding the?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. With the film, I was actually I was going to mention, because for those who follow my Insta, they'll know the I'm doing a lot to promote the film. Like Ashley, excuse me, I'm fortunate to be a collaborator as well. So just coming up, not just the film is exciting, but the fact that this Sunday and then Monday and Tuesday, so 18, 19, 20, I've got a three-part Insta Live with some of the members of the film team behind introducing homeopathy. So Carol Boyce is on Sunday, Elizabeth Wells on Monday, and Tuesday, Kim Alia, the producer, is on live. And Kim Han and Julian, the filmmaker, have been on my podcasts, which hopefully Ashley will tell you where to find them. And but it's really, really exciting, and it's a big deal because I'm sure, Ashley, you've also seen through the influencer meetings that you've seen the 4-minute clip,
Mhm.
and that was just a rough cut. And my God, that was absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see what the finished version is going to be like. And that's just 4 minutes. It's such an emotional film.
It is.
And it's so real. And it's literally, honestly speaking, it's going to be life-changing for millions of people. It's going to be eye-opening and it's going to be very educational and informative. I'm so excited. I mean, I just released a reel just before we came on here with Carol Boyce doing the video for Sunday's promo for the Insta Live. So yeah, I'm heavily involved with that, and it's just amazing. I can't wait for it to be out on one of the streaming services.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's coming out April 19th. That's when they're having, I think,
Yeah,
the
JAHC.
yeah, at JHC, and you can also watch it virtually.
You can, absolutely, you can. Yeah, you can, and you can purchase tickets for it as well. And we can have virtual tickets as well. So if you can't physically attend, of course, you can watch it and have parties at home and get together with family and friends and have a homeopathy party, and give some arnica to everybody before they watch it. And
Yeah. Oh, it's been amazing, Atik. Thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your expertise, experiences. I feel it's been incredibly insightful to learn more about homeopathy and your journey as a homeopath, and radio host. To our audience, I hope you have found this discussion valuable. Remember, you can connect with Atik on Instagram at like_treats like to learn more. Atik, can you share your other platforms so people can find you?
yeah, I would very humbly ask, and the only reason I'm asking this is because it will help homeopathy, and more people will become aware. So if you please follow my Instagram, like_treats like, see the reels, see what I do, how I get homeopaths involved. But also please follow my podcast. It's called the Homeopathy Health Podcast with Atik Ahmed Bhatti. So you can just Google that. But it's available on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Pocket Casts, and all the apps. And it's also on YouTube as well. If you go to my Instagram, you'll see all the links anyway, to my website and to UK Health Radio, to my YouTube, my Facebook. So you'll be able to subscribe. Please subscribe to the podcast and listen to it and seek benefit from it, or gain benefit, should I say. Uh, Apart from that, I'm really excited to have Ashley on. This is homeopathy. I know you've mentioned it, but I'm really excited. This actually just started out of a conversation, and it's so brilliant. So, uh, unbeknown to me, Ashley invited me on to this homeopathic world community. It's a bit of a shock. I was quite nervous before I started, but we're following this up with Ashley. She's going to come on an Insta Live in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be followed by a podcast where Ashley will talk about her journey to homeopathy and experiences. So it's such a wonderful collaboration. I love it. I love collaborating in the world of homeopathy because it's everyone's like-minded. It's brilliant.
I love it too, and it's such an honor. Um, like we mentioned earlier, it's great. It's nerve-wracking, but it's great to be on the other side.
It's unusual, I have to say, because I'm always behind the mic. So yeah, but it's thank you for the questions. Your questions are extremely pertinent and timely, and I hope I've done justice to answering them.
You did great. Thank you so much. If you guys want to find me on Instagram, at Homeopath Ashley, be sure to join us again next time for another enlightening show. Until then, take care and stay healthy. This is Ashley Mendoza signing off from HWC. Goodbye, everyone.